Today's news highlights. Date April 18, 2025. News highlights: the U.S. Japan tariff talks began on April 16, with U.S. President Donald Trump and Japan's Minister of Economic Revitalization Ryomasa Akazawa meeting and the two sides reaching significant progress and will renegotiate by the end of April. Japan has demanded the removal of high tariffs on its automobiles and plans to expand its investment in the United States. Trump stressed that reaching an agreement with Japan is a top priority, and plans to negotiate with allies to jointly contain China's trade influence and prevent the CCP from evading tariffs. News highlights: since its release, the documentary State-Owned Organs has held more than 300 screenings in the United States, Australia, Taiwan, Japan, and other places, and has won many international awards, causing social shock. Many politicians, doctors, and art and cultural circles in Taiwan strongly support the truth, fearless of the CCP's intimidation, and emphasize the defense of human rights and freedom of speech. Dr. Zheng Ji, a witness to the documentary, even appeared to reveal the inside story of the tragic death, which aroused public attention and discussion of the congressional project, and all walks of life condemned the CCP's atrocities in unison. News highlights: OpenAI launched a new voice character Monday in early April, which became popular with its world-weary and mocking tone, and became a super popular character in GPTs. Monday responds to questions with dark humor, a languid and misanthropic voice, and a name that echoes the mood of Blue Monday. Whether it is waking up office workers, comforting troubles, or interactive conversations, they all show a poisonous tongue style. Free users can also experience Explore GPT, but to fully experience the character of Monday, you need to do it in GPTs. News highlights: the U.S. Congress reported to the Chinese Communist Party's special committee that Chinese AI company DeepSeek has close ties with the CCP and is suspected of stealing user data, controlling information, and illegally refining OpenAI models, posing a threat to U.S. national security. The committee questioned DeepSeek's evasion of export controls and its acquisition of tens of thousands of NVIDIA chips, and demanded that NVIDIA hand over relevant sales materials. Lawmakers suggested expanding restrictions on China's AI and chip exports to prevent CCP's technology penetration and surveillance. News highlights: driven by the 329 schedule, the number of pre-sales, new existing housing supply and visitors, and transaction groups all increased, but the sales period was extended to more than half a year, and the number of cases for sale increased to a new high of 1,235. Experts pointed out that builders are cautious in controlling volume, the number of high-priced cases in the market has decreased, the bargaining rate is flat, and the rebound in buying gas is limited, and it is still necessary to pay attention to economic and policy risks in the future. News highlights: the 2025 tax season is underway. In response to rising prices and tariff shocks, the Ministry of Finance has extended the filing of comprehensive tax to June 30, and opened up to a 1-year deferral or a 3-year installment payment. Income tax allowances, standard deductions, preschool and salary deductions have been raised across the board, and the basic living expenses have been increased to 210,000 yuan. Rental expenses have been reclassified as special deductions, with a ceiling of 180,000 yuan, and the applicable objects and the conditions for wealth exclusion have also been relaxed. Taxpayers can make good use of the new tax reduction system according to their own circumstances to achieve the best tax-saving effect. News highlights: the Trump administration's expansion of tariffs on Taiwan has affected semiconductors and electronics, and has had a huge impact on the export-oriented economy. Legislator Chen Guangting suggested that Taiwan and Japan deepen cooperation in 5 major areas, including semiconductors, ICT, electric vehicles, AI, and hydrogen energy, through the Taiwan Plus One diversified layout and joint investment. TSMC spare factory effect still needs to be amplified, and experts recommend establishing a local supply chain with a joint venture and gradual penetration strategy. In the face of Trump-style economic and trade pressure, Taiwan and Japan should simultaneously show a clear political signal, strengthen military, economic and supply chain security cooperation, and reduce the risk of a single market. News highlights: gold prices continued to soar, and the price of Bank of Taiwan's gold passbook exceeded 3,500 yuan per gram for the first time on the 17th, hitting a record high, and rising more than 25% year-to-date. The gold metal price of silver buildings also increased, reaching $13,650 per penny. As the international gold price broke above $3,300 an ounce, risk aversion rose in the market, driving gold prices higher. Intensifying geopolitical factors such as the trade war, a weaker US dollar and the conflict in the Middle East have led central banks to continue to buy gold, further pushing gold prices higher. UBS forecasts a 12-month target price of $3,500 per ounce for gold, and the gold market remains bullish. News highlights: Liu Yanggui, chairman of Honhai, said on the 17th that Taiwan is an important base for global AI computing technology, with a complete supply chain and strong technology manufacturing integration capabilities. However, Taiwan accounts for less than 1% of global software output, far below the 27% of semiconductor output. He pointed out that Taiwan should take advantage of the advantages of hardware manufacturing to promote the development of the software industry, especially in the field of AI. Liu Yanggui mentioned that although Taiwan is key in the hardware supply chain, the software industry is relatively weak. Honhai is strengthening the development of software and semiconductors, and is collaborating with Yangming Jiaotong University and the University of Texas to conduct research on fourth-generation semiconductors. News highlights U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs have roiled global markets, causing the U.S. stock fear index VIX to remain high, indicating that the market panic has not subsided. Wall Street strategists pointed out that if the VIX index breaks through Trump's poll approval rating, it may prompt Trump to adjust policy and calm the market turmoil. The VIX index has closed above 30 for 10 consecutive days and briefly broke above 60, reflecting the market's fear of Trump's tariffs. Recently, after Trump announced a 90-day suspension of reciprocal tariffs, the VIX has fallen, but the market is still highly concerned about whether Trump will change course. News highlights many parents will prepare a marriage fund as a blessing when their children get married. According to the regulations of the Central District State Taxation Bureau of the Ministry of Finance, in addition to the annual tax exemption of 2.44 million yuan for each donor, if the gift amount is for wedding purposes, an additional tax exemption of 1 million yuan can be enjoyed. Parents can each donate $1 million as a wedding fund, and it will not be included in the annual tax allowance. For example, parents can each give their children a marriage fund of $2 million, plus an annual tax exemption of $2.44 million, for a total of $13.76 million in tax exemption. However, if the allowance is exceeded, a gift tax is payable, and the annual allowance is calculated separately for each donor, and if the allowance is exceeded, the gift tax is filed. News highlights U.S. President Donald Trump's promotion of equal tariffs has hit the global market hard, and Taiwan's tourism industry may be affected. The Prospective Tourism Policy Research Office predicts that travel agencies and the airline industry will bear the brunt, with revenue falling by 10 to 20% from April, and the impact will extend into the summer vacation in the third quarter. In particular, Thailand, Vietnam, and Singapore, which have grown in recent years, are among the hardest hit areas by taxation, which may lead to a decline in the number of visitors to Taiwan. News highlights the joint signature of the prosecution investigation and investigation of the recall case involves forgery, and many places in Chuangbei have been intensively searched in recent days. On the 17th, the Beijing Procuratorate ordered the Investigation Bureau to search the residences of the Kuomintang Taipei City Party Department and related persons, interviewed 4 people, including Huang Lu Jinru, the chairman of the committee, and transferred them for reinterrogation in the evening. The prosecution stressed that the case should be handled in accordance with the law and not political speculation. The supporters of the Blue Camp gathered in solidarity at the scene. Huang Lu shouted unjustly before entering the Beijing inspection, and Yao Fuwen also shouted Taipei Bashuang Wu, and the atmosphere was tense. News highlights the Kuomintang anti-evil strike death signature case was extended. Taipei City Party Chairman Huang Lu Jinru was interviewed on the 17th, and Party Chairman Zhu Liluang called on hundreds of party officials and supporters to support the Beijing Procuratorate, shouting Shanghai Dao and Liking step down. Legislative President Han Kuo-yu spoke out late at night, criticizing Taiwan for entering a dark era, hoping that the judiciary and the prosecutor and police will be detached and neutral, defend democracy and the rule of law, and not become a political tool. News highlights the 62-year-old host Su Xiaoshun was photographed by the public yesterday for running a red light in Baidu, Taipei, and the agent said that he did not pay attention to the sign because he was in a hurry for work, apologized for causing a wrong demonstration, and promised to pay more attention to traffic safety in the future. News highlights from today, 18th, under the influence of frontal and thermal convection, the cloudiness of the whole Taiwan will increase, with scattered light rain in the early morning in the north, and thunder showers in the northern and northeastern mountainous areas in the afternoon, and temporary rain may also fall in Taipei and Yunnan. The first wave of fronts will be greeted over the weekend, and the second wave will be reported from next Tuesday night. The rain will be stronger and more extensive, and the temperature will be significantly cooler, and northern Taiwan may drop to 15 degrees Celsius. News highlights the 31-year-old stand-up comedian Tian Cripple was found on the top floor of Chen's house early yesterday morning, and his birthday became a death day, shocking both inside and outside the circle. That night, she suddenly updated her post on IG, which wrote "A good ex should be like dead," which sparked discussion among netizens. The outside world speculated that she had dated He Long, and He Long also cancelled the performance. Nameist Wu Ruiying lamented that the stage name taboos negative words and calls for cherishing life. News highlights as the United States tightened chip controls, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang made a surprise visit to Beijing at this time to express his position of firmly serving the Chinese market, and met with Liang Wenfen, the founder of DeepSeek, to discuss designing chips for China. The outside world is concerned about whether it angers Trump, and Trump responded that Huang Zhengxun is a great person and very patriotic. "I don't worry about him, and he has a clear attitude of supporting his friends." News highlights Che, a subsidiary of Zhongding, 9933, contracted the BKRF case in the United States, and due to the reorganization of the owner's parent company GCEH, the accounts receivable were 19.6 billion yuan, accounting for about 15.7% of the total assets. Zhongding emphasized that the creditors' rights are secured, and the initial judgment does not need to be fully derogated, and reached a preliminary consensus with the creditors to repay the debt in installments. Affected by the news, the stock price fell for 2 consecutive days, and more than 25,000 contracts were commissioned. The company said that the cash in hand reached 33.7 billion yuan, the operation is stable, and the risk control of overseas projects will be improved in the future, and the debt repayment period will be clearer when the reorganization plan is approved by the court in the third quarter. News highlights: U.S. President Trump said on the 17th that China and the United States are negotiating on tariffs, and China has contacted the U.S. side many times, and he is confident that the two sides can expect to reach an agreement to end the trade war. Trump revealed that since the United States raised tariffs on Chinese goods to 145%, the two sides have been in contact, and tariffs may not be increased in the future, and may even be lowered. Trump did not respond directly to whether he would talk directly to Xi Jinping, saying only that you would think he has clearly done that. News highlights: the Beijing Procuratorate investigated the death joint signature case, and yesterday searched the Kuomintang North City Party Department and interviewed the chairman Huang Lu Jinru, which caused dissatisfaction in the Blue Camp, and called for the gathering of the Beijing Procuratorate to protest in the evening, and Taipei Mayor Zhang Wanren appeared at an illegal rally and shouted to promote the collapse of the cabinet. In this regard, the DPP caucus summoned KG Unming to respond to the welcome proposal, emphasizing that if the cabinet is overthrown, the legislative yuan will be re-elected, and calling on the KMT to refrain from shrinking and acting as soon as possible. The police dispatched a large number of police forces to maintain security at the scene, and the blue-green confrontation heated up. News highlights: the Ministry of Finance reminded that there was still one unclaimed 10 million grand prize of 10 million yuan in November and December of 113, and the consumption location was the North Side restaurant in Gishan, Dawan, and only spent 210 yuan to win the prize. The deadline for claiming the prize is May 5, and it will be confiscated according to law if it is overdue. In addition, there are 4 other special prizes of 2 million yuan that have not been claimed in this period. The Ministry of Finance calls on the public to make good use of the invoice redemption app or check the paper invoice as soon as possible to avoid missing out on huge prizes. News highlights: on his birthday on April 17, stand-up comedian Heavenly Remnant was found on the top floor of Chen's residence at the age of 31, shocking the comedy circle and fans. That night, she suddenly updated her IG post, writing "A good ex should be like dead," which caused netizens to speculate and leave messages and sighs. Friend He Long also temporarily cancelled the performance that night, and the agency said that it respected the wishes of the family and it was inconvenient to talk about it. Netizens left messages of condolences, recalling the laughter she had brought, and lamenting the loss of a brave and straightforward soul in the comedy circle. News highlights: a 30-year-old woman often suffers from dizziness and tinnitus, thinking that her menstrual period caused anemia, and even fainted and was sent to the hospital. The examination found low hemoglobin and fecal occult blood, and the colonoscopy confirmed the diagnosis of colorectal cancer. Physician Jian Zhenghong reminded that in addition to common diarrhea and stomach pain, digestive tract cancer may also cause dizziness and tinnitus due to chronic bleeding. News highlights: artist Lin Xinyi only finished 6th in her first bodybuilding competition last year, but this year she spent 8 months preparing for the competition and won the overall championship of the IFBB Women's Fit Model. She shared that during the preparation for the competition, she suffered physical discomfort and carbon loss caused by dietary adjustments, resulting in loss of concentration and even injuries, but she still insisted on completing her goals. Lin Xinyi said that she hopes to convey the concept of healthy posture through fitness, and plans to publish books, release new songs, and challenge self-composed songs in the future. News highlights: the recent surge in gold prices has driven e-commerce and retail platforms to buy gas. 7-Eleven pre-order gold sales accounted for nearly 10% of the performance. The most popular sale is One Money Small Gold Bean, Costco Gold Bars due to price concessions and high returns. The sale is a spike. Consider the introduction of silver coins, platinum. With the annual increase of more than 50% in sales of Shopee's gold products and the establishment of the Taiwan Silver Building in Shopee Zone, gold continues to become a popular choice for value preservation investment. News highlights: Jay Joe recently shared a set of super interesting comparison videos on IG about the growth of his daughter. The eldest daughter, little Jojo Hathaway, is about to turn 10 years old. Her height is stormy, slim, and she makes fans call time flies. But the most ridiculous thing is that the original position of his son Romeo was actually topped by his friend Du Qiazang in the new version of the video, and the sudden picture laughed at netizens, and everyone left a message: "How can my son become so big? Du Ji has crossed, the difference is too ruthless," directly turned into a small Easter egg scene. Zhou Dong not only loves his daughter, but also has a super stock. News highlights: artist Liao Jun has recently suffered a third-degree stroke, and his health has attracted attention. Liao Jun's son, Liao Jinda, expressed dissatisfaction with the new agents taking photos of his father's hospital bed without the consent of the family, and publicly criticized it, and even threatened to report it to the police. Liao Jun's old partner Peng Peng revealed that because Liao Jun decided not to cooperate anymore after changing his new agent, the original live broadcast was forced to be suspended. Peng Peng expressed his understanding of Liao Jun's choice, wished him future development, and admitted that Liao Jun had some health problems at the time of cooperation, but believed that he would gradually recover. News highlights Ryu and Yuma of $1 Million YouTuber Ryuohu TV have a relationship that has changed after 7 years of marriage, and the two admitted to cheating in February last year, and officially signed a divorce in January this year and moved out of the joint marriage house. The house is currently on sale in Ibaraki Prefecture, Japan, at a price of 39.8 million yen, about NT dollar 9.09 million, with an area of 37.48 tsubo and a private courtyard. Netizens were amazed by this price, thinking that its location, number of pings and price were quite cost-effective, and said that Japanese housing prices were cheaper than Taiwan's. News highlights this Sunday, 20th, at 3:57 ushered in the Gu rain. Folklore expert Yang Dengcheng reminded that the humidity aggravated during the Gu rain, the spleen and stomach operation were affected, and it was easy to cause physical discomfort. According to the theory of traditional Chinese medicine, it is necessary to pay attention to the maintenance of the liver and spleen to avoid dampness and heat entering the body. It is recommended to eat more spleen-strengthening and dehumidifying foods, such as barley, yam, lily, etc., and avoid spicy and hot foods. Yang Dengsheng also warned that the 4 zodiac signs of the tiger, rabbit, sheep, and dog should be careful to go out to avoid accidents and avoid overwork. In times of climate change, it is important to dress appropriately, keep the room dry, and pay attention to outdoor exercise and rest. News highlights Trump, who will be elected President of the United States at the end of 2024, expressed his interest in acquiring Greenland on his social media platform Real Community, emphasizing that it is essential to U.S. national security and global freedom. Greenland's strategic location and abundant natural resources, such as minerals and rare earth elements, have attracted Trump's attention. Despite Greenland's long-term Danish control and his emphasis on refusing to sell, Trump remains confident, saying the takeover has a 100% success rate. The U.S. is currently evaluating the costs and benefits of acquiring Greenland and proposing a higher subsidy package than Denmark. This geopolitical event has sparked global attention and discussion. News highlights on the 14th, the Taipei District Prosecutor's Office interviewed 7 defendants involved in forging a joint signature of the recall, including Wu Si Knight, and conducted a second wave of searches on the 17th, investigating 6 places including the Taipei City Party Department of the Kuomintang, and interviewing a number of Kuomintang figures, including Huang Lu Jinru, chairman of the Taipei City Party Department. The incident stemmed from the accusation of DPP spokesman Wu Zheng that some people forged the recall signatures of legislators Wu Saiyao and Wu Pei. After the preliminary investigation, the prosecutor issued bail to the person involved in the case, and the prosecutor said that he would continue to investigate the case. Kuomintang chairman Zhu Liluan also went to the Beijing Inspection Center in the early morning to support and call on the people to protest. News highlights Huawei's AI processor, the Ascend 910C, was found to use TSMC's 7nm process chip inside, despite Huawei's claim that it is a domestically produced design. According to the report, Huawei relies on TSMC to manufacture the Ascend 910 series processors and indirectly orders them from TSMC through third-party company Computing Energy Technology to circumvent U.S. sanctions. This shows that Huawei can still access advanced AI chips through informal channels even under the U.S. ban, questions the effectiveness of the U.S. ban, and sparks discussions about how Chinese tech companies can circumvent sanctions. News highlights there will be localized thunder showers in the north and mountainous areas this afternoon, and it will rain in North Taiwan under the influence of fronts over the weekend. The weather will stabilize and heat next Monday and Tuesday, and another wave of fronts will move southward from Wednesday, and heavy rainfall and severe weather may affect until Saturday. News highlights Trump expressed reservations about raising tariffs on China, emphasizing that Xi Jinping has repeatedly taken the initiative to release his willingness to negotiate and is confident in the future agreement, including the TikTok sale case, depending on China's attitude to decide whether to continue to promote it. News highlights the death of the Green Committee has been frequently reported throughout Taiwan, and the investigation has been searched by the 4 horsemen of the strike group and the Shuangbei Party Department of the Kuomintang. Just this morning, 18th, the Kaohsiung double strike that ousted Kaohsiung Green Committee Su's Hija and Huang Ji was also rumored to have been investigated and searched by the joint station, and the details are still to be clarified. News highlights on April 20th, Gu Yu met Mizu's birthday, and Xiao Meng reminded 7 taboos: avoid anger, reduce clothes, enter the mountain, dampness, moisture, careless use of electricity and prevent infectious diseases, and share the secret method of opening wealth and luck. Roll rice plus 88 yuan to pray for blessings, donate coins to attract wealth. News highlights on the 17th, the Taipei City Party Department of the Kuomintang was investigated and searched for death and joint signatures, and Huang Lu Jinru, chairman of the Taipei City Party Department, was brought back to the Taipei City Investigation Office of the Investigation Bureau for an interview. In this regard, Zhou Guanting, a new Taipei City councillor and spokesman for the Democratic Progressive Party, listed the 5 famous scenes of the Kuomintang, and made a sour statement that it is really a hellish reality show. News highlights: with the change of the times, obesity has become one of the civilization diseases of many modern people, and if left unchecked, it is easy to cause cardiovascular or diabetes problems. In this regard, the internet celebrity Dr. Kinglan Ji, Wu Qiying, shared on Facebook that Japan is the thinnest in the world, and the obesity rate is only 4%, which can be said to be quite low. News highlights: Kuomintang chairman Zhu Liluan and Zhang Wanan went to the Beijing Procuratorate to support Huang Lu Jinru, causing public resentment to rebound. News highlights: Tainan Taitang Evergreen Hotel is suspected of having food poisoning, and about 70 guests vomited and diarrhea after the wedding banquet on March 9, and some of them were diagnosed with norovirus. The public criticized the hotel for its negative handling and failure to inspect temporary workers in the field. The hotel emphasized that the environment and inspection were qualified, and promised to bear the medical expenses and condolences money. News highlights: Kaohsiung Ambulance Volunteer Team is transformed from the Phoenix Volunteer Team, and there are currently 540 people, all of whom have T1 or above qualifications, including nurses, office workers and other diverse backgrounds, to support the fire department in carrying out pre-hospital first aid. In addition to CO service, we will also promote CPR and AED, and will start international exchanges with Japan in the near future to develop towards a refined profession. News highlights: a woman in China died of acute epiglottitis the next day after suffering from a sore throat and difficulty breathing after eating spicy hot pot. Doctors remind adults to be alert if they have severe sore throat and abnormal voice, as acute epiglottitis may quickly block the respiratory tract and be fatal, so it is recommended to avoid spicy food and seek medical attention as soon as possible. News highlights: Japan's 24-year-old actor Ruishung Itagaki died tragically, and his family confirmed that he had been missing since the end of January, and his body was found in Tokyo recently. In the past, he revealed mental illness and acting pressure, and was hospitalized after retiring from the company, although he once came back, but in the end there were still regrets, which shocked the entertainment industry. News highlights: high blood pressure is known as the silent killer because there are usually no symptoms in the early stages. New research suggests that in addition to reducing sodium intake, increasing potassium intake, especially by eating potassium-rich foods, e.g. bananas, broccoli, etc., can help control blood pressure more effectively. The study found that the ratio of potassium to sodium had a more significant effect on blood pressure, and men responded more significantly to it. In addition, the modern diet, which is high in sodium and low in potassium, may be responsible for the prevalence of hypertension. News highlights: Taiwanese actress Da.S, Su Ziwan, died of illness in February this year at the age of 48, and recently her niece Ellie, Su Ziwan, posted a message on social platforms to mourn Da.S, expressing her deep longing. Ellie shared 2 photos on IG, one of herself and the other of a star in the night sky, with the song When I Was Young by Soda Green. She wrote, "The brightest one, always let me take a look at it more," causing netizens to leave distressed messages. Big S regarded Ellie as his own before his death, and the past of giving her a Tiffany necklace is still touching. News highlights: affected by Trump's tariff policy, the memory industry has entered a stocking boom ahead of schedule, and the prices of DRAM and NAND flash are expected to be revised upward. The stock prices of memory companies such as Nanya Technology and Pinon rose sharply on the 18th, and Nanya Technology strengthened the price limit. TrendForce pointed out that the trading momentum in the memory market is expected to strengthen in the second quarter due to the repeated U.S. tariff policies, and DRAM and NAND flash prices are expected to rise by 3% to 8%. However, the corporation warned that if demand does not pick up, there may be corrective pressure in the third quarter. Nanya branch also announced that it will handle the first private capital increase in 12 years, and the funds will be invested in advanced memory manufacturing and technical cooperation. News highlights: after the TSMC law meeting, electronic stocks rebounded strongly, and Taiwan stocks rose more than 100 points in early trading on the 18th, and the electronic channel group performed well. Shanghai, 8072, share price has risen for 4 consecutive weeks, and this week's stock price has risen again and has risen by more than 4%. In recent years, the proportion of revenue from Shanghai's semiconductor agency business has increased, which is less affected by tariffs, and foreign investors continue to overbuy. Kinja, 8096, also returned to the 5-day line with the stock market rebound, and is expected to benefit from the South Korean government's support for the chip industry. News highlights: U.S. President Trump said on the 17th that he was unwilling to further increase tariffs on China, fearing that such a move could affect trade between the two countries. He mentioned that the Chinese side has repeatedly expressed its willingness to restart negotiations and maintain contact with Xi Jinping's officials. He added that despite the current tariff hikes, the two sides are still confident that a deal can be reached, and future agreements may include trade concessions and the sale of TikTok's U.S. business. Trump noted that the TikTok deal will depend on China's decision, stressing that the deal is beneficial to both countries. News highlights: according to the latest survey by 1111 Manpower Bank, the U.S. tariff policy in early April affected many office workers in Taiwan, causing investment bleeding and triggering pressure on life crunch. According to the survey, 77.4% of office workers have invested in financial instruments such as stocks, ETFs, and funds, with an average loss of 235,038 yuan. Despite this, the majority of office workers still adopt a long-term fixed quota strategy to avoid panic selling, with 56.8% of them choosing to hold for a long time and wait for a rebound, and some have begun to reduce spending or seek part-time income, indicating risk management for stable investment. News highlights: a Shiba Inu brother Bao in Pingtung was attacked by an unleashed pit bull while going out for a walk and died of his injuries. Seeing this, passers-by tried to stop them with iron rods and brooms, but the pit bull still clung to Bao. The owner of the pit bull alleged that the dog had been beaten to death and claimed to have been cremated, but failed to provide proof of this. The Pingtung County government confirmed that the pit bull had been cremated, and if it was verified, it would be dealt with in accordance with the animal protection law. News highlights: Nick Carter, a member of America's New Good Boys, was accused of sexual assault by a fourth woman, Laura Panley, who said that between 2004 and 2005, Nick had consensual sex with her 3 times, and then sexually assaulted her twice, without wearing a condom, causing her to become ill and emotionally traumatized. Laura has filed a civil lawsuit for $15,000. Nick denied the accusations through his lawyer, saying that he had not been in contact with Laura, and accused the other party of attempting to blackmail and smear. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order on April 17 criticizing foreign dumping, unfair trade, and launching the America First seafood strategy, vowing to make the U.S. a global seafood hegemon. The order states that a long history of overregulation and illegal fishing by foreign countries has left the U.S. with a $20 billion seafood trade deficit and dependence on imports. Trump's call for the government to promote the improvement of fishery production capacity, the introduction of new technologies, and the strengthening of trade countermeasures against illegal foreign fishing may trigger new trade frictions with China, Southeast Asia, and other countries. News highlights: a physical altercation broke out at a KTV hotel in Kinmen late at night on the 16th. After 3 men consumed with the female escort in the box, they lost control of their emotions because they were dissatisfied with the departure of the female escort, and smashed the wine bottle and glass, causing chaos in the box. When the hotel staff intervened in mediation, a physical altercation broke out between the 2 parties, resulting in an intracranial hemorrhage for a man, who died after being taken to the hospital. The police have investigated the crimes of assault and damage, and called on the public to drink responsibly and avoid losing control of their emotions. News highlights: Hong Kong, the producer of the Japanese boy group Choco Ruby, had a car accident on the afternoon of the 16th on the Tokyo Metropolitan Expressway. After the incident, he quickly got out of the car and took refuge and called the police, but fortunately no one was injured. The fire was brought under control after about 20 minutes. Preliminary investigations have revealed that the fire may have been caused by a faulty vehicle engine, and the Metropolitan Police Department is investigating the specific cause. News highlights: according to the statistics of Taiwan's Ministry of Health and Welfare, prostate cancer has nearly 8,000 new cases and more than 1,800 deaths in Taiwan every year, making it the 4th leading cause of cancer death among men. The doctor reminds that the initial symptoms of prostate cancer are not obvious, and it is recommended that men over 50 years old undergo prostate examination every year, including ultrasound, digital anal examination and PSA blood test. If the index is high, further MRI may be done. Early detection can be achieved through minimally invasive surgery or non-invasive treatment to improve the cure rate and maintain quality of life. News highlights: cabinet reversal means that the Legislative Yuan submits a motion of no confidence in the Executive Yuan, and if 1/3 of the legislators propose it and more than half of the votes approve it, the Executive Yuan must resign. According to the Constitution of the Republic of China, the President may choose to accept the resignation of the cabinet or dissolve the legislature and re-elect him. However, it is difficult in Taiwan's political system to overthrow the cabinet, because the President has the power to dissolve the Legislative Yuan and avoid a waste of political resources. In addition, the probability of success of the cabinet is low, and the political risk is high, and the past 3 cabinet reversal bills have not passed, and they are more political declarations. News highlights: U.S. President Trump said on the 17th that he does not plan to further increase tariffs on China, fearing that it will affect bilateral trade. He stressed that the Chinese side has repeatedly expressed its willingness to restart negotiations and contact the U.S. side, and although Trump did not say whether he will contact Xi Jinping directly, he believes that the highest levels of China have shown goodwill. Trump mentioned that he may consider lowering tariffs, which are too high to make goods unsellable. He remains optimistic that a deal will be reached, mentioning that it could include trade concessions and a TikTok deal. News highlights: in the context of the escalation of the tariff war between the United States and China, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang was invited to visit Beijing on the 17th and met with Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng to discuss the development of new chips in China to meet the needs and regulatory requirements of both China and the United States. Huang said he is optimistic about China's economic prospects and is willing to continue to cultivate the Chinese market. The trip comes at a time when the US government has imposed an indefinite ban on the export of Nvidia's chips to China, which could result in a financial loss of about $5.5 billion. News highlights: the Kaohsiung prosecutor recently launched an investigation into the team leading the Kaohsiung double strike, and searched its leaders in multiple joint sites. The operation may be related to a dispute involving the death signature and the ghost signature. During the search, the participating volunteers expressed their dissatisfaction with the actions of the bureau officers and a verbal altercation ensued. Team leader Su Shangxian expressed concern that he could not reach the Director General, Zhu Lei, and another leader, Huang Huangji, and speculated that they might have been taken away. The investigation did not disclose further details about whether the search involved the removal of anyone, and the investigation is still ongoing. News highlights: on the 17th, Zhu Lailun called on Kuomintang officials to go to Beijing to protest, and planned to launch a rally in Kaidao on April 26 to call for the removal of Li Qingde. Zhao Xiaokong, the former chairman of China Broadcasting Group, said that as a media person, the boundaries are clear and he will not participate in political activities. As for the proposal to topple the cabinet, Zhao believes that it comes from the Kuomintang elders in the central and southern regions, but this move is difficult to achieve, and demonstrations and protests should be avoided as much as possible, and other ways to express protest should be sought. News highlights: the Taipei District Prosecutor's Office investigated the case of the recall group involved in false signatures, and yesterday, 17th, interviewed 4 people, including Huang Lu Jinru, chairman of the Taipei City Party Department of the Kuomintang, and applied to the court for detention and forbiddenness. Zhu Lailun stressed that he would fight with all his might, and accused the prosecutor of violating democracy and vowed not to give in. He announced the full launch of the Strike Zhuangguo operation and planned to continue the struggle in Kaidao on April 26, emphasizing that the war of resistance would be fought for a long time until the end of the darkness before dawn. News highlights: the World Tour The Tense, the captain of the South Korean girl group Girls' Generation, was originally scheduled to be held in Tokyo, Japan on the 19th and 20th, but because the equipment required for the concert did not arrive in time, SM Entertainment announced the cancellation of the performance, causing outrage among netizens. Taehyun personally apologized to fans through the app on the 18th, expressing her disappointment and surprise at the situation, and empathizing with the fans' disappointment, thanking them for their support and comfort in this absurd incident. News highlights: since April 18, the Labor Insurance Bureau has successively issued subsidies for old farmers and retirement funds. The full amount of the old farmer's allowance is 8,110 yuan per month, and the half amount is 4,055 yuan, and the retirement savings fund will be received back on a monthly basis after the age of 65. By the end of the month, there are still 14 subsidies to be credited to the account, including labor insurance annuity, national insurance old age pension, maternity benefits, etc., and those who meet the conditions can pay attention to account changes. News highlights: in celebration of its centennial, the National Palace Museum has launched the Gold Painting Buddha Card Cultural and Creative Series, which reproduces the art of Buddhist scriptures in the Yuan and Ming dynasties, combining gold ink printing and blue paper technology to render the essence of Buddhism and aesthetics. A total of 56 sheets in 5 sets, which have been sold in physical and online shopping malls, and have both collectible and gift value. News highlights: the Shillin District Prosecutor's Office is investigating the case of Wu Siyao being threatened with beheading. The man involved, surnamed Guo, was detained yesterday. The Shillin District Court considered that he was suspected to be affected by mental illness and ruled to restrict his residence and prohibit him from threatening Wu Siyao, Wang Tingyu and Su Zhenchong again. If he violates the rules, he may still need to be detained. News highlights: Kuomintang Chairman Zhu Lailun called on the Beijing Procuratorate to assemble on the 17th, and the police were warned and ordered to disband by the police for violating the assembly and procession law. News highlights: the Beijing Procuratorate investigated the case of boycotting the Green Joint Signature, interviewed Huang Lu Jinru and 4 others yesterday, and applied for detention this morning. The Kuomintang called on the masses to assemble in the north, and Zhu Lailun said that he would start a long-term war of resistance, and shouted goodbye on the 26th. Han Kuo-yu said that this is a dark era, and he hopes that the judiciary will stick to the defense line of democracy and the rule of law. News highlights: according to the latest report from the Japanese government, if an earthquake occurs in the Nankai Trough on a scale of 9, about 2.35 million buildings may collapse or burn, and the death toll is approaching 298,000. Experts emphasized that improving the earthquake resistance of residential buildings and popularizing earthquake-sensitive electrical appliances can greatly reduce disasters, and called for strengthening the disaster prevention capacity of communities. News highlights: this Sunday, 4/20, at 3:57 a.m., there will be 24 solar terms of valley rain, symbolizing the late spring and early summer, and the increase in rain, which is conducive to the growth of crops. Folklore expert Yang Dengsheng reminded that the Gaia's solar term is heavy and humid, which is easy to cause spleen and stomach disorders, physical exhaustion and skin problems. Tigers, rabbits, sheep, and dogs should pay special attention to their health and safety this week. Beware of bloody car accidents, accidental loss of money, and do not overwork and drink too much. News highlights YouTuber heavyweight members Andy and Jianing announced their breakup in October 2024, which was originally a private affair, but because Andy later made public accusations against Jianing and his family in the channel, the incident heated up and set off a storm of public opinion. It even affected Jianing's father's factory, and the incident caused huge controversy on the internet. News highlights 72-year-old veteran artist Liao Jun suffered a stroke for the third time and was admitted to the intensive care unit due to cerebral hemorrhage. The agent said that he had been awake for a short time and was currently resting, and the situation was still in danger. News highlights senior media person Liu Wenwan recently revealed in the program that she encountered financial fraud when she was young and invested 4 million yuan in the hope of getting rich, but found that the company was missing, and finally called the police to deal with it. She had negotiated repayment with other debtors, but the eldest sister of the other company had no assets in her name and was unable to recover any money in the end. At the same time, performer Xiao Yuepan also shared that he was deceived into a fraud park in Thailand and was trapped for 20 days until he was finally paid a ransom to escape. News highlights on the 18th, the Taipei District Prosecutor's Office concluded the largest fake withdrawal fraud group case in Taiwan, prosecuting 80 people including Ou Yatong, the person in charge of the Milei company, and 61 people, including Ou Yatong, were sentenced to 10 to 25 years in prison. The syndicate defrauded more than 5,000 people through fake investment websites, involving a total amount of $15.7 billion. Prosecutors have seized 13.24 million in cash, 460 grams of gold, and issued wanted notices for 15 suspects. The case set a record for the largest number of suspects detained by a single fraud syndicate. News highlights the United States imposed a 90% heavy tax on small parcels on the mainland, triggering a review of the tax exemption policy for small parcels below 2,000 yuan and strict control of e-commerce by Taiwanese legislators. Zhang Wenruo, Vice Minister of the Ministry of Economic Affairs, said that Taiwan's Dobao was fined for inconsistent advertising and business, and has asked for corrections, and may withdraw if it does not meet the standards. The Ministry of Finance is reviewing the tax exemption system for small parcels, and may adopt differential treatment for parcels imported from the mainland. Dobao officials said that it had complied with the regulations and had removed non-compliant advertisements.